Hello and welcome to this tutorial. Using Element 3D we're gonna create a neon sign that is reflected on a wet pavement. We're gonna start by making a solid, new solid, and we're gonna name it Element 3D. Press OK. And now we're gonna add Element 3D. We're gonna start with neon sign, so we're gonna create a new text and we're gonna type in neon. Now of course you can use any font you like. We're gonna hide it for now and we're gonna go to the Element 3D layer and go to custom layers and custom text and masks and choose the text layer in the path layer 1. Let's dive into Element 3D, click Scene Setup and press Extrude. Now we're gonna tweak this a little bit. So we go into Extrusion Model and press Bevel and Bevel Outline. Now it looks like this. We're gonna decrease the extrude. We're gonna have some bright color to it. We're gonna choose diffuse color and have it like real pink, like this. And we're gonna enable illumination and press use diffuse color and pump up the intensity like this. Now we're gonna duplicate the extrusion model. So select the extrusion model, press Ctrl D or Command D on a Mac. We're gonna go into extrusion model. Now we're gonna decrease the path expand. So it looks like this. And now we're gonna choose a different color for this. So we're gonna right click on the bevel here. We're gonna duplicate and replace. So the bevel one becomes a copy. And then we're gonna go to diffuse color and choose a different color. I choose a red one. And of course you can do it in many ways, but I chose this one because it's really simple. We're gonna move this sign a little bit, so we're gonna select both extrusion layers and move this sign around here. We're gonna create a plane, and this is the pavement. We're gonna scale it up so it looks like this, a bit more. And now we're gonna do the textures for the wet pavement. So we're gonna press OK. And now we're gonna import a pavement texture. All the textures that I use in this tutorial are linked in the description. We're gonna drag this texture down here and it looks like this. We're gonna create a pre-comp and we're gonna name this pre-comp diffuse. I'm gonna leave all attributes and press OK. We double click the diffuse layer and we're gonna change the composition settings to around 5000. Press OK. And now we have to duplicate and expand this texture so it fills up the whole composition. So we're gonna go to effects and presets and we're gonna write motion tile. Double click it. We're gonna increase the output width and output height like this. Now we have a texture. It doesn't look good right now, so we're gonna use another texture of some cracks. Like I said before, the links are in the description. So we have imported the texture of the cracks here. We're gonna scale it up like this. And we're gonna set this texture to multiply. This looks much better and we're done with the diffuse. At this point I really recommend you to export the image and import it into the project again. In that way we save a lot of rendering time. So we're gonna go back to the main composition here. We can hide the diffuse, go into Element 3D and go to custom layers, custom texture maps and select the diffuse here on layer 1. Great. Now we have to do a bump map. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to project. We're gonna select the diffuse layer. We're gonna duplicate it. Control D or Command D on Mac. We're gonna rename this to bump like this. And we're gonna drag it into the composition. We can hide it and then double click it. We're gonna do some brightness and contrast adjustments because a bump map works like this. Everything that's bright is going to pop up. So we're gonna create an adjustment layer, create new adjustment layer, and we're gonna go to effect and presets. We're gonna add levels to it. And let's bump up the contrast. Do it a little bit more. Like this maybe. Alright, this looks good. So the bump map for the pavement is done. We're gonna create a new solid. Create new solid. And we're gonna name this puddles. Press OK. And go to element and presets. We're gonna write fractal noise. Great. And let's scale this up like this and adjust the contrast and brightness. Let's press invert. So the black parts are going to be the puddles. So like something like this. I'll scale it up a little bit more and adjust the contrasts like this maybe. And now we have to find some good shapes that we're gonna use for the puddles. It takes a while to find a good shape, but I think this is good enough. We're gonna go to blending mode and choose darken for this layer. So the next step is to create some water droplets. Now I know there's a effect in After Effects called Drizzle. I played around with it, but I didn't like the result at all. The water droplets kind of faded off really quickly, so we're gonna do it differently. We're gonna create a new solid. We're gonna name it Drizzle. And we're gonna go to Effects and Presets, and we're gonna add Particle Systems 2. Alright, so let's take this layer and we're gonna drag it to the left. We're gonna go to Producer and widen the radius a bit, like this. We're gonna go to Physics and set the velocity to 0, gravity to 0. We're gonna go to Particle and choose Lens Bubble. Let's go to Max Opacity and change it to 100. We change the birth size to 0. Now the bubbles doesn't look like water droplets, so we're gonna add some echo to it. I'm gonna type in echo and change the number of echoes to 3. Now we have to adjust the echo time. Right, this effect is really slow, so we're gonna disable the other layers. And we're gonna go to Particle Systems 2 and change the birth rate to 2 maybe. I'm gonna change the full to quarter. Now we have to change the time here so it looks like water droplets. Something like this maybe. Right now we can show the other layers and see how it looks like. Let's change the blending mode for Drizzle to, let's say, difference. And now the bump map is done. So we're gonna go to the main comp here. We're gonna go to Element 3D and we're gonna choose bump map in custom texture maps. We also have to use an image for the environment. I chose this one because it has a lot of nice colors and the links are in the description, but you can use any environment map you like. We're gonna hide it and go to Element 3D and choose it in the custom texture maps, like this. Now we're gonna dive into Element 3D. We're gonna click Scene Setup. We're gonna go to Plane and choose diffuse here. Great. We're gonna type in 3 for UV repeat. Let's go back to the textures and choose normal map and choose our bump. We're gonna click on the checkbox here that says convert bump, like this. Press OK. Now we have to add some environment so we can see the colors in the bump map. So choose environment. We're gonna go to this layer. That's the environment image that I use. We're gonna press OK. We're gonna select the plane model again, and we're gonna scroll down to reflect mode and choose mirror surface. Now we can see the neon sign reflected in the water puddles. Let's go to the texture and decrease the bump map to like 30, 29 maybe. Let's decrease the diffuse, it's a little bit bright. Right, and now we're gonna press OK and go and create a new camera. Press OK. We can create a point light, a blue point light. Let's move it to the side here and push it way back, like this maybe. Let's duplicate the point light and move it over here. Select a different color. Let's take some, this looks great. We're gonna duplicate this light again. We're gonna move it over here. And let's choose parallel light and make it pink and move it to the neon sign. Right, now we have the camera, we have the lights. Let's do some tweaks in the 3D element layer. We're gonna go to render settings and let's move around the physical environment so we can rotate it. So we have some nice colors going on here. I think this is kinda good. I was playing around with the camera here and I saw some fireflies going on, so we have to go to super sampling and choose 4. You can also change the FXAA smoothing. You can change it to 4 maybe. We can also uncheck the compress textures. Right, the next step is to create some rain. So we're gonna create a new solid. Let's name it rain. And we're gonna go and type particle world. We can select the layer and move it to the left so we can see the particles here. Let's go to the producer and change the position of it. Let's move it up here. Let's go to physics and floor and choose everything about floor. Floor position, we're gonna change it to 0. And let's change the radius. We're gonna change the velocity to 0. We're gonna go to particle and change it to faded sphere. And let's add some nice colors here. At birth we're gonna have like this pink, and at death color we're gonna have this one. Nice. The max opacity we're gonna change to 100. And let's add some motion blur to it. So we're gonna type in motion blur, and we're gonna add some force motion blur. Change the shutter angle to maybe 300. Maybe a little bit more, 500. Now it's really hard to see the rain, so let's change the color to a little bit brighter color. Okay, we're gonna change the resolution to quarter and just look how it looks like. Yeah, it looks pretty good. I think it's a little bit too slow, so we're gonna change the gravity to 1. Let's set back this resolution to full. Alright, this is it. You can add some camera movements to this. You can have some color gradings. You can change the lighting. You can change the environment map to make it more look more like a day. You can slow down the water droplets and make it more slow motion. I hope you guys like this tutorial, and if you have some suggestions on how to do this much better or faster, please let me know in the comment section below. And if you like these kind of tutorials, please subscribe to the channel. I have some more coming up. I see you in the next tutorial. Bye bye.